Hello and welcome to the SMEFocus show powered by MTDCNC. I'm Mark Weymouth from the Factory Automation Sensor Specialist Plus Automation. This show aims to support the UK's great manufacturing sector and highlight its SMEs. My guest today is Stephen Murphy, a well-known advocate of UK manufacturing, a fellow member of the Connex portal and a black belt. Of course, as this is a manufacturing-centred podcast, Steve's black belt is in Six Sigma. Hi Steve, welcome to SMEFocus.
How you doing, Mark? Thanks very much for the opportunity to be here today. Still calming down a bit after all the excitement of advanced engineering and all the opportunities it's generated. So it's great for another opportunity today to talk about UK manufacturing and my part in it.
Sounds like we've got a plan for the outline of the show then, Steve. Excellent. I guess you're renowned for a passion for zero defects, world-class manufacturing, and obviously also the Datalyzer tool. Can I ask you to sort of recount your journey? What's your experience? What's got you here to the delights of us talking on this show? Give us a little recap of who is Steve Murphy.
When I started off my career seriously, I moved into the semiconductor area. And it was a real introduction to very, very competitive, very, very demanding industry. So you start off thinking, what sort of defect rates are people looking for? And you'd maybe think, percentages. But in fact, the demands of the semiconductor industry were, at that time, 40 years ago, parts per million. So if we sold people a million chips and one failed in the field, they would be really grumpy and they'd get back to us and say, what are you guys doing about this? We would like a report in 5 days, please. So that was my introduction to the demands of world-class engineering and world-class manufacturing. What I mean by world-class manufacturing is as much as anything, even manufacturing a very mundane silicon chip to the standard that is world class. So in other words, you give people to a product, not only is it exemplary in its performance, but it's exemplary in its reliability, it's exemplary in its price, and it's exemplary in the consistency with which you're able to deliver that. So that was a bit of a shock, but when I moved from the assembly of silicon chips up to the actual manufacturing of the single silicon chips again, that was another world again. So again, you quickly get used to the expectations that you cannot start running these factories at old-fashioned just making scrap and dealing with it in a non-thorough way. You start to get to the conclusion that if you want to run these factories competitively, you have to have a vision for world-class manufacturing. You have to be able to say, yes, we have learned all our lessons from scrap, we have learned all our lessons from field failure, and we have built them into the production line. And you have to start looking at that proactively. So you can't just say to yourself, well, if we get a scrap event, we'll deal with it. You have to start being proactive and saying to yourself, what sort of defect events could we have at this point? What sort of scrap events could we avoid if we use better monitoring and capability techniques? So as I grew within the semiconductor industry from shall we say, from boy to man, boy starting out just on shift coverage in the production line, moving up to running small operations in silicon chip factories, it really was obvious that the industry is so competitive that you have to have these world-class proactive management methods. And that is not so much, where does my passion come from? This is not a nice to have. This is not a bit of a bonus from if you've got some guys who are interested in doing a little bit more maybe. This is a requirement for survival. you have to have these skills to actually get a place at the table, and you have to be able to be good at them to stay at the table. While that might sound a bit demanding, it is in fact very interesting work. If you are genuinely engineering, genuinely manufacturing work, the work is demanding, but it's interesting. It demands your engineering skills, your science skills, and as much as anything as well, it demands your people skills, because it's not just about the high-end technology that you implement in these organizations. It's almost building the people that can run these organizations. So I look at world-class manufacturing, and I take this almost from the requirements of the world-class manufacturing benchmarking that I did with in silicon chips. You know, you have to be able to transfer technology very, very effectively. You have to make sure that your cycle time from starting the batch of the wafers to the wafers leaving the production line is optimized. You have to make sure your scrap is optimized so that you don't break or drop or misprocess too many wafers in the line. But the hardest thing at that time, and is still the hardest thing, is getting the right number of chips on the die, on the wafers, to yield. And the things that are causing the chips not to yield can be all sorts of mundane stuff, like dirt falling off the inside of the machines, like the extra odd atom of iron in the processing chemicals. And so working with both the people, the subcontractors, the suppliers, your own people, to get that combination of people skills and technology in place falls into this banner of world-class manufacturing. How did I come to Datalyzer? I came to Datalyzer a bit by chance, because I'd come back from Switzerland and I was loading up the interweb, and I was on LinkedIn and things, and the owner of Datalyzer, Mark Schaefer's, just put a wee thing on LinkedIn. If you're working in the continuous improvement area and you think you might be able to sell some software, contact me. So I contacted Mark, and I get on well with him. He's very hardworking, very imaginative owner of a company. And yeah, he's a very easy guy to work with, as long as you want to do some work as well. But the key thing, one of the things that he had that interested me, was his statistical process control program. And now the other one I like that we have is the failure modes and effects analysis program. And the key thing about these is that they are easy to learn, and also they're very cost effective for SMEs. And so that's what attracted me to Datalyzer. The combination of these were skills that our SMEs could implement easily to drive them to becoming world-class manufacturing organizations. And like I've said before, and I don't think I can iterate this enough, nowadays there is a requirement to be on that world-class manufacturing roadmap. You might not just be starting it, you might be a bit along it, but you cannot come off that roadmap. The world is just so competitive now. Even if you're supplying into another company that is on the roadmap, you still have to have that roadmap yourself, because you are so competitive. But why? Yeah, the tools are out there. To my mind, the tools are out there. It's a matter of putting the people skills out there and helping people to develop those skills is something that's very interesting to me. So it's the combination, the technical and the people skills, to meet the market expectations, which are not going to go away. Let's face it, people are not going to put up with washing machines that only last a year. I think the combination of things like the green movement, the requirement to make less pollution, all this is going to push us in the direction of making products that last a long time, that can be repaired, and or can even be resold. So I think that's going to push us in the direction of more and more companies demanding world-class manufacturing. As you can tell, I'm quite excited about it.
Well, I think you've probably answered my second and third question already, which was to tell us more about Datalyzer, and particularly if an analysis tool for SBC and OEE was applicable to SMEs, which you've said it is, talked about that. So that's cool. You mentioned it in your sort of history. Obviously, you started out working with multinationals, and I think probably at some point I was once told that they were pan-nationals. But we know each other much more through the stuff we do supporting the SME community. So maybe can I ask you, why are you also engaged with SMEs? What's driving the reason for you to knock around the SME community?
While I do find the work that the likes of big multinationals deliver, I'm not, and it's a lot of fun. As much as anything, I like the personal relationships that you can develop within the SME community. Big multinationals, we love the products they make. We love our mobile phones. We love our cars that work now, because they never did when I was a lad. You know, you had to be an expert in fiddling with the carburetor to keep them on the road. Nowadays, they just work, all driven by big multinational corporations. But I do like the personal contact that you get from working with the SME communities, and in fact there are a lot of SMEs that are making world-class products. So it's not just the big multinationals that make world-class products. It is also your local SMEs attached to the local universities. There are loads and loads of things. And I still had an interest in old-fashioned mechanical engineering. You know, I've still got bits and bobs I made in metalwork from school. So I was just drawn to taking the expectations of that came from the big multinationals down to these local communities. And I do enjoy the personal relationships that I develop with SMEs. I find it more satisfying than the sort of relationships that you seem to be involved with in big multinationals. Yeah, it suits, for practical reasons, it suits me better. So it suits me from a professional point of view and a personal point of view. And I find the SME environment very dynamic. There are a lot of people who are business owners who you don't have to motivate them to get off their backsides and start getting things done. So I think it's an underutilized part of the UK business scene. It's something that I'm really interested in making any contribution I can to get it a better focus within the UK.
Interesting. I've seen you post recently, and I think we've chatted a little bit about interim management. Can I ask some of your thoughts and what's your involvement on interim management, but particularly with regard to SMEs, keeping this theme as we were addressing an SME focus with this show?
Yeah. Basically, it came from probably about let's see what sort of time, about 2010. I've been talking to some people I've worked with in the semiconductor industry, and I was a bit sort of disappointed with, on the whole, I had been at the time and I still am, is what is called training nowadays. So in other words, a training course seems to be along the lines of you send people away, and I think they used to have to pass an exam and you'd get a certificate. Nowadays, I think you even just get a certificate of attendance. This wasn't my idea of training. This was quite simply awareness. So where I saw some opportunities for interim managers was with people like myself, who not only learned the skills in the classroom, but had actually applied continuous improvement skills like Lean, Six Sigma, project management, had applied those skills in practice. Big companies and SMEs need people who can help them, not just to say teach a basic training course, but can help them embed those skills into the organization. So my big vision for interim management, and it tends to have taken place within sometimes small parts of bigger organizations, but they effectively behave like an SME, maybe up to turnovers of 100 million via vouchers, or maybe even from as low as 20 million or so via vouchers. But they need people who can not just run a training course, but can help to get them embedded in their organization. They don't need somebody like me full time. They need somebody like me who can come in either for a short period of time or slightly longer to help them either achieve specific goals, like we're running a change management program. We're going to start to run leaner and put continuous improvement in place routinely. We need some people who walked across that death valley before, and we need some people to help us. We don't need them full time forever. We might need them for a couple of years tops, but basically to interim management to help people to have specific skills that these companies need to get them over, typically continuous improvement, removing waste, improving cycle times in their organizations, but really transferring as much as anything in helping them to embed the people skills that they need within the organizations. So yeah, so for interim management, I think it's actually very well established for financial people and often for marketing people. It is not well established, and I don't think it is well understood within the quality area. So within the quality area, I've often been called in when people have serious problems. They need to move to a better state, and I'm trying to move on now from championing interim management as the organization that can help you move to world-class manufacturing. So not everybody that wants to move in that direction needs a person like me full time. Would be too much trouble. Would be wanting to do this, wanting to do that, you get overexcited. But they need people that can come in either for a period of, it can be quite long, it can be up to 2 years in complicated areas, but it could be 3 months, 6 months, it could be 2 days a week, to help them to move to the standard that they need to move to be competitive in the modern manufacturing environment. So that's why I like interim management. I think it links into my passion for world-class manufacturing, and it links into my interest in SMEs, and it helps these organizations start to be able to move to world-class manufacturing. So that's how the whole thing links together.
Okay, I guess a particular advantage for an SME is if you use an interim, then you've got a certainty that the project is going to come to fruition, because an SME owner may be fully motivated in something, but a month's time they're getting dragged off on other things and there's lots of competing issues, and they've got to keep the business running, and sometimes that's at the expense of an improvement activity. Whereas if you're using an interim, it is going to keep traction and also keep people motivated, because if they see something coming and going as the owner's busy, then they lose the interest in the change that's coming, or the belief in the change. So I can see where it's very applicable to an SME as well.
Yeah, one of the things I say about an interim manager, he should be taking the expectations of the board or the owner. He should be taking it to the situation he's working in. So he should be taking those expectations, that vision, to the shop floor or to the engineering management, and he should effectively be this person should have the skills to be able to take those expectations to the relevant part of the organization and help to make the change happen. and to embed it within the organisation. So yeah, it's effectively you're the managing director in the appropriate place, as it were, and that works. It works because it puts, as you say, the right amount of force there, the right amount of direction, the right amount of coaching and mentoring, whatever needs to be done. Typically the sort of thing is I might have to knock together a quick 2-hour training course on the Magnificent Seven problem solving skills. If I go in somewhere and I need to knock that up, I'll knock it together and I'll deliver it in a couple of hours. I may need to say, pull out your green belt course. We need to start to look at this bit here. And out comes the course. What are we doing here? Yeah, okay. Let's learn how to do it. So it helps you to really get people to it. I can provide the mini bits of training that are required, or we can go back to the course they were on and say, let's use this bit of the course. This is how we use it, and that gives people the practical experience to be able to apply the material that they've been trained in.
Okay, interesting. Bringing things down to what's ahead, what does 2025 have in store, ideally both for you and for your business?
For 2025, basically I am semi-retired, so I try and work about 10 days a month. But if some more work came up, that would be fine, but not forever. I won't work 9 till 5 or till the end of time, as it were. But where do I see it? I see some of the big challenges that the UK is facing, particularly in productivity. And that is one area where I think we have at the moment, with a change in vision for the economy, with realizing that productivity is a key issue, then I see definitely see a window of a year or two where if we can really start to focus on productivity, I think you get a change of mindset with a change of government. If we can advertise productivity, push productivity, I do see some windows of opportunity opening up to be able to say people are starting to think about productivity. But I also see more and more traction in the interim management market within quality. In other words, we need somebody that can help us with continuous improvement for a month. So I see some almost like a bit of a storm coming together. I see, the business need, the business environment starting to be open more to interim management and having this real requirement for productivity. So I really do see opportunities occurring within 25 to 26, and people like myself within this area. It's up to us to get out there, put ourselves out there, and start grabbing those opportunities, creating the awareness, and working with the people that want to build productivity into their organisation. So I definitely see for the next couple of years some real. I'm very positive about it. Very positive.
I was going to say, if you're talking about an increased focus on productivity and just change and effort coming in 2025, that seems an incredibly positive way to wrap up the conversation. So thanks for that, Steve. I will wrap up by saying to the viewers, if you want to get in touch with the show, if you've got a comment, a suggestion, particularly if you'd like to appear in a future episode, please email us at inquiries@mtdcnc.com, or just reach out to myself, Stuart Whitehead, or Joe Reynolds. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. From me, Mark Weymouth at Plus Automation. Cheers. Have fun.